My name is Raquel Moultrie, and we are going to be talking about the raid on Harpers Ferry and its lasting impact on slavery. This is John Brown. John Brown was an abolitionist and transcendentalist born May 9th in 1800 in Torrington, Connecticut, and he decided to raid Harpers Ferry in Virginia in October of 1859. John Brown grew up in an extremely Christian home, and according to Brown and the Bible, slavery was a sin altogether. Brown grew up feeling super strongly about how wrong slavery was, so he decided to work against it during the 1850s. He started off working in the Underground Railroad, helping slaves escape from their owners, then, later on, planning his trip on Harper's Ferry. Harper's Ferry was a U.S. military arsenal loaded with weapons. He thought that if he could gather enough men, he could overtake Harper's Ferry and seize the weapons to give to the slaves in order to start a revolt. He hoped to bring the freed slaves to the Alleghenies and Appalachian Mountains to bring a foundation based on equality and to continue the railroad running between the North and the South. On October 16th, he and 19 other abolitionists attempted, but unfortunately failed to attack, and Brown was caught and hung on December 2nd later that year. Although his raid wasn't successful, his actions triggered a cascade of abolition movements and showed a different, more violent approach to abolishing slavery. Before the raid, he'd asked his buddy, Frederick Douglass, a runaway slave, to join him on his raid, but Douglass declined because he thought that the idea wasn't such a good one. Douglass, however, did agree that peaceful protest was not going to solve the slavery issue either, but more on that in a minute. Fergus M. Bordwijk, a historian and author, said yes, John Brown was a zealot, but he was also a man far ahead of his time in a vision of racial fairness and equitability. John Brown was 150 years ahead of most of us. The raid resulted in a bunch of terrified white Southerners and really sped up the acceptance of the secession. Transcendentalists managed to show Abraham Lincoln that slavery was a hindrance on our society and shouldn't continue. The next year, Lincoln was elected as president in 1860 and was also in favor of the abolition. This was amazing because now a man of power, the president, could make substantial advancements towards freedom for the slaves. Now, back to violent approaches to slavery. In April 1861, the North and the South entered a civil war. The South fought to keep slavery, and the North were fighting against the slavery. On the third year of the Civil War, Lincoln wrote the Emancipation Proclamation, stating, "All persons held as slaves are, and henceforward shall be free." The addition of the 13th Amendment to the Constitution shortly followed, abolishing slavery altogether, and everyone knows the story from there. Brown's, Douglass's, and Lincoln's ideas were all thanks to the transcendentalistic mindset. They and other abolitionists went against the norm, and without their, at the time, unorthodox beliefs, we would probably still have slavery today.